Jesus, God, or just man? So a few weeks ago, we considered a connected question: whether Jesus was a real person or a fictitious character. And we demonstrated scientifically by showing external evidences, that Jesus, in fact, was real. He was not a fictitious character. Today, we consider this question as not faithful believers, but some are still just not quite sure. So why don't we begin by considering both sides? So how was he just a man? Jesus, that is. Well, he was born of a woman. How about he grew up as a young boy and he did what other boys did his age? What's more? Well, he was just like you and me. He hung out with friends. He laughed. He helped those in need. He loved. This is how he was just a man. Well, I don't know about you, but he was definitely like me in this regard. He was falsely accused of violating laws and customs and traditions. He was additionally unjustifiably charged with doing wrong by people who were either unfit or otherwise unqualified to be in positions of power and influence. Well, how was he just a man? He paid the ultimate sacrifice. He was executed for a crime he didn't commit. And even when the magistrate sought to pardon him, remember we talked about Pontius Pilate, and we showed that scientifically he existed as well, as we were making a case for the fact that Jesus was indeed real. This same Pontius Pilate attempted to pardon Jesus, but the masses campaigned against those attempts. They campaigned against setting him free, and instead they had him killed. Well, let's consider now, how was he God? How was he God? He turned water into wine. So let me just pause for a moment, because some of you might be saying, well, Stan, see, that's the problem. I'm not sure that I believe that, or I don't believe that. So indulge me for a moment. The story of Jesus's life is well attested. That's the first thing that you should know. In fact, there are not one, not two, not three, but four witnesses, four witness accounts that talk about his dealings, Jesus' dealings, his adventures, his going to and from. To be able to write during this time, it was not commonplace. You should understand that. To be able to even afford the necessary materials to have a written account was not an option for most people. The point is, the circumstances that surround these accounts give them, the witnesses that is, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, authenticity and credibility. Even in a court of law, they would be accepted as credible and authentic. So even though it may be hard to digest, indulge me just for a little while longer. So, what else did he do? He healed the blind with his hands and with his voice. He took 2 fish, 5 loaves of bread, and fed 5,000 men. Women and children were additional numbers to be added. I know what some of you may be thinking. This is just incredible, Stan. This is just like one of the most incredible stories of miracles performed by Jesus that I've ever heard. And admittedly, even I, as a believer, out of all the miracles in the Bible, this just seemed to be the one that was the most incredible to believe. So if you're a non-believer, I understand. We understand. But, again, continue to indulge me. Okay, so some of you are saying, enough with the miracles already. Where is the evidence? Because I don't believe all of this. After all, there were many who came before him with claims of being God, right? Why don't we start with, in just about chronological order, Nimrod, a mighty one in the earth, who, as the story is told, eventually turned into the sun god. He ascended into the sun and became the sun god. So there's one individual who has a claim of being God. How about the next one? Siddhartha Gautama. This individual, born in 563, thereabout, BCE, if you will, a member of the warrior caste in the lower Himalayas, in that region, what is now known to be Nepal. He also, as is esteemed by his followers to have become God. He was God. That God, by the way, is the Buddha. So he is the God of Buddhism. Who else do we have? Well, there's this individual, as we come closer to our time, Arnold Potter, schematic Latter-day Saint leader who, as others had claims, he had a claim that the Spirit of Jesus Christ entered into his body and he became the Potter Christ, the Son of the living God. Consequently, he died during, not sure if it was his only attempt, I suppose it was his only attempt to ascend into heaven by jumping off a cliff. But he was not the last. There were others. There was David Koresh. Some of you may remember him. Jim Jones, or how about Henry Cristo, who in his case heard voices since his childhood. He received his first revelation that he was Christ while fasting in Santiago, Chile in 1979. And the voice said, "I am your father, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob." Many of us have certainly heard that phrase, that phraseology before. So again, I know some of you are saying, well, I don't believe all that, Stan. Where is the evidence? If you're a believer, this is not a question that needs to be asked of you. We know that you believe already. But if you're not a believer, or you've just been on the fence, or you've just been uncertain, you're looking for more. Well, let's start by validating the Bible as a resource that can be trusted. I suppose the logic here is that, well, if we can somehow show that the Bible is a reliable source of information, no matter what it says, that we can bank on it and we can believe it, including these miracles that have taken place. So, is the Bible a resource that can be trusted? Why don't I walk you through a little exercise, if you will, where we're going to show a connection between something in the Bible that we call prophecy and science. And it goes like this. We begin with prophecy, And that takes us to probability. So first of all, prophecy is a disclosure of people, places, and events before they happen. So this is telling of things that are going to happen before they happen. Well, I guess we use another word in more modern times, predict, predictability, or to predict something. Now that takes us to probability, which is the extent to which something is probable, the likelihood of something happening or being the case. We go from probability to statistics. Statistics is the science of learning from data and of measuring, controlling, and communicating uncertainty. So how do we go from probability to statistics? Some of you may be asking, well, probability is an extension of statistics. If you've taken that class, then you know that a part of statistics is probability. This thing that we do with calculating the likelihood that something will happen. And well, it should be clear to most that statistics is indeed a science. So we go from probability to science, or prophecy to science. So if we can show that, well, prophecy is accurate, it's true, we can trust it, there's a connection between that and science. And hence that's where Stan gets his assertion that we can show scientifically. Actually, I didn't say that yet, so I guess I'm getting ahead of myself. So let's begin with a little probability. Some statistics, which is science. There was a group of scientists who endeavored to take up a challenge. They accepted a challenge of calculating the probability, again, which is a part of statistics and which is science, of the likelihood that 8 prophecies in the Bible could come to pass. And now we're talking about prophecies that have already been fulfilled. So for those of you who who need a little bit more clarity, to say that a prophecy is fulfilled means that the Bible said something was going to happen, and in the chronology of time of Earth's history, it's already happened. So the Bible said something was going to take place, and it happened already. So they're already fulfilled. So these scientists took up the challenge of calculating what is the likelihood of 8 prophecies coming to pass. And that number is 1 times 10 to the 17th power. Okay, so for those of you who are not math inclined, it's not your favorite subject, and you were done after algebra. Actually, you should have understood this in algebra, but play along with me. 10 to the 17th power is a number that has 17 zeros behind it. Okay, so and just for a little perspective, 1 million, that has 6 zeros behind it. 1 billion, 9 zeros behind it. A trillion, 12. How about a quadrillion? There's a term that we don't use often. Add another 3. 1 times 10 to the 15th. Now this is 1 times 10 to the 17th power. And if you're saying to yourself, well, 17 is 2 more zeros, is 2 more greater than 15, then therefore, what, is this twice as much as a quadrillion? No, that's 2 extra zeros behind it. So we're talking about 100 times larger or greater. Yes, we are talking a big number. This is the value that scientists placed on just 8. Just 8. And as you see at the top of the screen, there are 115 messianic prophecies in the Bible. Messianic meaning prophecies that pertain to or are related to Jesus. So you've got 8 that create a number this large, 100 times larger than a quadrillion. But that's not the whole of them. There are 115 of them. So imagine, just imagine how large that number would be. Yet, not just those 8 came to pass, but all 115 did. And just to give you a little perspective, more perspective, if you will, on the enormity of that number. Imagine if you could bottle up the world, everything in it, and the entire universe. So we're talking, of course, everything that's on the earth, all the people, all the things that man has created, the cars, the boats, the buildings, the city. Add up everything, get it all together, put it in this jar, in a container, some sort of container that could hold it. But not just the world that we live in, but add everything that's in the universe. And if you could put it all on a scale and weigh it, do you know how much that would weigh? This has been done also. It would weigh 1 times 10 to the 80. Look at that number. And if you're saying to yourself, well, Stan, what is that? Is that pounds? Is that tons? It really doesn't matter. You can choose whatever unit of measurement you like. The difference between it will not make a difference at all, because this number with 80 zeros behind it is so astronomical. But if you could do that, if you could bottle up everything in the universe, all the solar systems, all the planets, all the stars, all the moons, all the comets, all the asteroids, everything in this world, and bottle it up and then weigh it, this is the number that scientists have come up with. What if we were to calculate, or someone for that matter were to calculate, the likelihood of 48 prophecies? Not all 115. We just shared that 115 are the total number. Just 48. 1 times 10 to the 157th power. Are you kidding me? This number is just out of this world. It makes no sense. It's not even sensical any longer. It's nonsensical. 48 prophecies gives a number this large. If we were to try to calculate, if these scientists would calculate 115 prophecies, I'm not even really sure that there's a calculator with enough places, enough silicone inside to come up with that number. Perhaps there is. So when the Bible prophesied that Jesus would come on the scene in all 115, from Psalm 34:20, he keepeth his bones, not one of them is broken, which was fulfilled as we know it, as written in John 19:33. Behold, a virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and shall call his name Emmanuel. That's in Isaiah 7:14. Fulfillment was shown in Matthew 1:23. Micah 5:2, which is, by the way, 700 years after the fact. So this prophecy, in 700 years, it took before it was fulfilled. But thou, Bethlehem, though thou be little among the thousands of Judah. So it was basically telling of what city Jesus would be born in, down to the one from Zechariah 9:9. And it just goes on and on. There are so many. 115 of them are messianic, but the Bible is full of even more than 400 prophecies in totality. And the messianic ones have come to pass already. I think this, I don't know about you, but I think this shows that the Bible is a reliable source of information. If it can do this, then what's to say that it can't do everything else that it says? So, was he God? He performed these miracles. I didn't say this in the beginning, but he also raised from the grave. He didn't stay in there. Indeed, they took his life, or he allowed them, as I will intimate to you. But he raised from the grave. He also said that he would return again. He said that he would return again, this time not to visit with us like he did the last time, but rather to take us with him home. And if the source that has been right with predicting everything else tells us that he's coming back again after certain things happen, not just with faith, but scientifically, you can believe it. So to the question, Jesus, God or man? Emphatically, without question, he is God.